Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson, and welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Wouldn't this world be a better place if every single day, every single man, woman, and child on the entire face of the earth said, "Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine."
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go back to that lemon light city?
Hey there, I am really Marty Levinson. Don't let anybody fool you. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show with the greatest cameraman around, Sonny Hirsch, and your host, Avi Myers.
Thank you, Marty. Avi Myers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Dial us up on the web at www.ntnm.org. Community Policing, caps24.org. Sonny in his spare time is the chairman of the District Advisory Committee of the 24th District, and we want to wish Commander Williams all the best of luck in his new job. And we want to thank Commander James Roussel for everything he did for us while he was here. Caps24.org will tell you where all the meetings are in the neighborhood. At the ntnm.org, click on the faces and the links, and you'll get to see shows from the last 6.5 or 7 years. Although the show's been on 22 years, we weren't YouTubing, but I don't even know if there was a YouTube 22 years ago. I don't think so. But in any event, the person who's been on the show the most is me, okay?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay, actually, the person who's been on the second highest number of shows is Marty Levinson. But that's only because of that scissors thing.
Yeah.
But in terms of the person who far and away was a guest more often than anybody else, who some of my neighbors actually still despise me because I correctly supported him in his battles, was the alderman of the 50th Ward, the vice mayor of the city of Chicago, the chairman of the Buildings Committee. You know, who knows?
You're going to go fall through that?
You know what? When you mentioned that, I couldn't resist it. And I don't remember them all anymore. Anyway, we're talking about the retired alderman of the 50th Ward, and we miss you terribly.
I'm very happy in retirement.
Alderman Berny Stone, how you doing?
Good, Avi. How are you?
Thanks, and I want to thank Sal Chirk for bringing you here. It was very nice of him.
But he got me here late, and I'm going to ball him out for that.
It worked out. Joe Moore came here early, and we got him on.
Yeah, well, it was nice for me to renew my relationship with Joe, and Joe did a good job on his interview.
Yeah, he really did. I liked it, and what do you think of the participatory budgeting thing?
Well, I disagree, of course, with Joe, and I think the reason that you're elected to the office is so that you'll do the job, and so it's very nice that Joe allows his people to participate in doing the budget of his funds. However, the reason the funds are given to you is so that you can, in your good judgment, use it for what you think that they should be used for. And that's the reason you're elected. You get very little to use in your good judgment, and you should use those funds for the purposes that over the period of a year that you see that they should be used for. What happens he disagrees, of course, but I think what happens is the loudest voices get what they want, and the silent majority sits silently and doesn't get what they want. And over the course of a year, you hear from the silent majority because you're out. If you're doing your job, you're out there every day, and you know what is needed and what has to be done. There are things that even, like I had a program for street lights, and I thought it was extremely important because lighting up the ward is a good way to stop crime.
Well, it is. I mean, if there's light out there, I mean, I make a point at night, I try to remember to always turn on my front porch light. And I know it's
Good
gonna
idea.
It means nobody's going to be gathering in front of my house.
Well, it's a good idea, and the more light that you control on the scene, the better it is. And,
And, you know, one thing I do know is that you know, statistics have shown that those lights reduce crime in the areas they are. And I just wish you would have gotten around to my block, but you know that was it was getting close. It just,
and look, first of all, we have the good fortune of having a lot of trees, which is good for the area. But unfortunately, with the lighting being up so high, those trees screen out most of the high lighting.
right, and by the way, that's also why I don't have very much grass in my front yard.
Yeah, well, that's the reason that we went into this program where we put the lights at a lower level, which really lit up the sidewalks and lit up, in many cases, the sidewalks. And I mean the walks along the side of the building. And I don't want criminals lurking in shadows. And I found that lighting up the area reduced crime. And that's the reason I was working. I started at the West End and I was working east. In some areas I did get to as far as Pratt, but it's unfortunately
The other side of California,
east of California, I didn't get to Pratt.
No, I know we were actually. I know we were going to be in the next year or two.
You had to be because we were moving in that direction.
Yeah.
But you know, I could only. It's expensive. At the time, I don't know what it is now, but at the time it was over $62,000 a block.
Wow.
So.
Was that, were you being overcharged? Because I know sometimes the mayor overcharged on those items, so you wind up getting less.
No. Well, first of all, we got 2 blocks without dipping into the into the fund, and then I basically used the fund. Basically, most of the fund went to lighting. I had to, of course, do some street repairs. I had to do some alley repairs, so I couldn't devote the entire fund to lighting. But
no, that I understand.
But we would spend at least 60% of the fund on lighting.
No, and listen, there's no question it's a good thing, and I've explained to people too the importance of light on the street. And you know, and the police feel the exact same way too. And there are statistics, and you know that better than I do, that show that those lights make it a safer block.
And the reason, you know, people ask me, well, how did you determine to start at the West End? Well, that's where most of the single-family residents were. So, you know, people say, oh, why did you start there? Why did you start here? There was reasons for it. No matter where you start, you're always going to be criticized for it. But I started where most of the single-family residents were, and I was moving towards the east end of the ward, where more of the multi-family residents were.
Yeah, by the way, one of your favorite expressions used to be the NIMBY thing, not in my backyard. This was actually an IMBY or maybe an IMFY, like in my front yard.
Yeah, well, you know, everybody's interested in the 30 feet in front of their house. That's, but you know, you got to make a decision, and the guy who's acting as the public figure has got to make the decision, and he's got to stand by it. And he's got to take the
heat.
Heat, that's all.
But as Harry Truman said, if you can't stand the heat,
Get
out of the
kitchen. That's exactly right. You know, one of the things I wanted to talk about today.
Sure.
I'm particularly upset over what happened at the Boston Marathon, and I'm particularly upset over the fact. Well, as of this date, of course, it being so recent, we don't know who's behind it or who did it. And what it says to me, you know, I'm a kid that was brought up many years ago. I admit that I'm 85 years old. But what bothers me today is the fact that when I was brought up, it was easy to say who's the bad guy and who's the good guy. The bad guy always wore a black hat, and the good guy always wore a white hat. I mean, you went to the movies, that's the way it was. And the cowboys were the good guys, and the Indians were the bad guys. The cops were the good guys, and the robbers were the bad guys. But suddenly, the picture has become blurred. We don't know who the good guys are. We don't know who the bad guys are. And this is making it very difficult in times like this. When you had a war, for instance, you knew which side was bad and which side was good. You don't know that anymore. Everything is getting blurred, and who's the bad guys and who's the good guys? It's not like in the old times, you fought wars against the enemy who symbolized all that was bad.
Right,
And
like
you
be it
were
the Nazis or the commies.
you were the good guys.
Yeah.
But today, that is blurred, and we don't know. Maybe we're not so good. Maybe we're not so clean.
Well, you know what? I could really speak for volumes on this, but this country has gotten so weird. It really has.
And I don't know sometimes, and I see things now that I wonder if I were a young kid today, I don't know if I could really stand, and I can understand why people are confused, and why people don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and why people are defecting. People don't know who's the good guy and who the bad guy is.
No, it's true. The one thing that really, when I was younger, and not just a kid, I mean even 20s and 30s and all that, it was very apparent that used to be the right wingers were by far more intolerant than the left was. Right now, like with the chicken thing with Rahm Emanuel, who I like to call Rahm the Intolerant. That's my new nickname for him. With the Chick-fil-A shops.
Yeah.
He didn't like the fact that the owners didn't like gay marriage, even though it's kind of like a thing in the Bible. And the truth is, until about 10 years ago, when other countries like France and Canada started going for gay marriage, the last country before them to legalize gay marriage was Sodom, as in Sodom and Gomorrah.
And he said that's not the Chicago way. I mean, he accused them of not being with it in the Chicago way.
No.
Well, I don't know. I only know that people like the Cardinal would disagree with him.
Yeah, and by the way,
And you're going to say that the Cardinal isn't doing it the Chicago way?
definitely, and it's also kind of pretty clear. With all due respect to my friends who I don't wish harm at all, I mean, some things are just in the Bible, and you know what? How people are so intolerant of things like the Bible. It's like if you don't like it, at least, like the other side of the coin tries to be tolerant of you. Please be tolerant of the other side.
Well, in other words, somebody's entitled to a different opinion. We are becoming a very intolerant people.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I like to call him Rahm the Intolerant.
Well, I don't know if it's fair to say that
He's not alone. He's just a public. He's a figurehead.
Well, I'm not. At times I felt the mayor was a bully. Quite frankly.
Well, actually, you were very accurate in saying that.
Yeah, but on the other hand, it's not fair to say. I don't think it's fair to say that he's intolerant. I think he's just representing what society is today.
Which is unfortunately intolerant.
Well, but he's representing what basically he's expressing what the general public is.
It's like it's so weird because the people who were scorned 20 years ago or 30 years ago, have no tolerance for the other side. The other side's given in, pulled back, shown tolerance, not wanting to interfere for the most part, and now they're not tolerated for having their own viewpoints. And, that's just not, That's not only not America, that's not good people no matter what the nation, no matter what the nationality, no matter what the religion.
Well, at one time, the left was considered very tolerant of everybody.
Exactly, yeah.
And now the left is very intolerant, and it is the right that apparently has become the tolerant ones.
And actually, I don't know that they're increasingly more tolerant, although some may be, because
Maybe
they want to live.
compared to the intolerant left.
Exactly. You know, I never thought I'd put out a paper and endorse more Republicans than Democrats, but part of that also has to do with the total dysfunction in Springfield.
Well, maybe. I'm still a Democrat, and I'm proud of being a Democrat. And, you know, I'm the guy that was on both sides of the fence, and, you know, I basically, I believe that the Democratic Party stood for social justice.
Yeah,
and
once upon a time, you're 100% right.
And that's the reason I was a Democrat, and that's the reason I'm still a Democrat today.
We don't have a lot of time left, but let's talk about when you were on the show before, you were talking about working on a book?
Yeah, we're still working on it. Basically, what I'm doing now is Felicia Decter, who's my co-author, she's putting together the notes and all the things that we worked on together, and in turn giving it back to me, and I'm correcting some parts and trying to add other parts. You know, I heard you talking to Joe about drones.
Yeah.
One of the things I gave her was the fact that 66 years ago, I flew in a drone.
Really? Wow.
And this is when I was in the service in the United States Army. I was in a radio-controlled aeroplane, which is a drone.
Yep. Wow.
And that's in the spring of 1947.
Wow. Right after World War II.
Yes. And I was what was called at that time a sergeant pilot. When we were at Fort Monmouth, New Jersey, and we were controlled from the ground.
Wow.
And we laid telephone cable. We pulled the hatch out, and we were being controlled from the ground, and we were dropping cable from the airplane, and while we were being flown from the ground.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Mickey's hands are about there right now, so
Okay.
I do want to leave time for the other guest. I want to thank you very much, Alderman Berny Stone.
Thank
Still
you.
going to the office?
No, I don't go to the office. You know, I never knew that. I thought I'd have all this time on my hands. I never knew the time could pass so fast in retirement, but I don't even have time to really. I haven't had time lately, and even to make the corrections of Felicia's work.
Well, you should make time for that. Go have a blast. But you know what? I want to read that book already.
All right,
So try
thank
to
you.
work on it. Thank you very much, Alderman Berny Stone. Anyway, thanks so much for being here. We
Thank
appreciate it
you.
very much,
Thank
and all
you,
the best.
Avi.
Take care.